Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel S2T. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're gonna talk about Netflix approved camera. So let's dive right into it. Well, first you have to understand why the heck Netflix is a big deal. Well, Netflix became so big over time because they had a very humble beginning where they were just a postal DVD rental service. Now, most of you may not be familiar with this past, but it was true. Now, brick by brick, day by day, they became so big that people started to do what we call cord cutting. So basically, they disconnected their television service or just wow, and just started to rely on Netflix itself, because in the early days all Netflix was doing is basically buying TV shows, old TV shows, popular TV shows, whatever they can get their hands on, they were getting that from movies and TV show, and people loved it because everything you can watch without any basically advertisement, and people loved it. Now, on top of that, it became so big, so prominent that when companies started to give basically quote unquote raw, unlimited, high speed internet service, right? Because companies thought that there is no way people can, use the system. Basically, it was like, I'm giving you 100 Mbps. What the hell you gonna do with it? Like, they sold you the connection which was unlimited. So they did not had any oh, at 100 gigabyte, like we're gonna slow down your speed. They did not have that. However, because Netflix became so big that people actually started to get connections just so they can watch Netflix in 4K properly, they consume so much data that all these companies like Verizon and AT&T was like, what the hell, man? Like, why the heck you are consuming data? We send you the unlimited connection. It does not mean you're supposed to use it. So, and then that's triggered the whole net neutrality argument. So you can understand that Netflix is a big deal. Like, it has effect on politics, it has effects on trade, so it is huge. And Netflix from day one was built on a very serious reality. It's like Netflix was competing against Giant, it was competing against HBO, it was competing against Fox. So they were like, it is serious, we're gonna go all in, no holds barred. So when they started to create their own TV show which was under production, they were like, we have to, at some point we have to be like, we have to create our own service. They created very strict guideline, and from day one it was all in 4K. So Netflix takes quality on their own shows. Basically, if you are, instead of like buying TV shows, remove that aspect. If they are building their own TV shows, they will take quality very seriously. So they started with House of Cards. Now, House of Cards removed the controversy around the actor and actresses and all that jazz. Remove that. Look that show as a TV content. It was mind-bogglingly awesome. The camera work alone was like, damn, like somebody sat down and actually spent meticulous amount of detail, and like, okay, the frame is exactly perfect. Like, it was actually shot on much higher than 4K, and they needed to do that so they can perfectly align that. Like, there are scenes where this actor is like, completely standing, and like it's perfectly precise. It's like absolute symmetry. Whenever they want to show dominance, they will do that, and it's like amazing. Like, the amount of detail, the amount of money poured into this was serious. It was no laughing matter. And again, it made Netflix into serious thing. It was like, whoa, Netflix is no longer just like Netflix and chill. It's like, oh, they are making some good shows. People are like, okay, let's Netflix now. So Netflix and chill is a code. So Netflix now is something different. Like, okay, we gotta sit down and we gotta actually enjoy the show. So they were very serious about 4K from day one. And when I say 4K, you have to understand there are many Chinese camera companies and even first party ones where they claim 4K, but it's like some random who have done into it, where it will not be complete with complete frame, whatever have you. So they were very serious from day one. It's like, you must have enough photo sight, aka pixels, minimum 380/40 pixels. Like, basically your width must be that much. Without that, don't even talk to us, aka camera wise. And they will flat out reject upscaling content, flat out. Like, you cannot upscale it. Now, when I say upscaling, you have to understand I'm talking about Netflix original. If they are basically collecting old TV shows from, let's say, Star Trek, again, they have to upscale it on their end, but it's a different thing. So if for their original, no upscaling. Now, in terms of megabits per second, the bare minimum they will accept is like, before, like, you go any lower than that, it's like, flat rejection is 240 megabits per second. Now, it's not too big. To give you a context of that, most Sony full frame mirrorless cameras are below this. Only few Panasonic cameras are above this, and some Fuji films. So it's not too huge. But in terms of bit depth, they are very serious about this. So if you are talking a cinema cameras are generally ludicrously high bit rate, like 20 bits. They can go as high as like 24, because of how they are compressing it. So they will give you 16-bit minimum on linear interpolation, basically 1:1 ratio. But if you are using S-curve, gammas and all that jazz, they will give you 10-bit. Now, to give you a context, so most Sony's mirrorless gets out because they are stuck at 8-bit. But if you have 10-bit and a lock profile, you're good to go. Now, raw is a must. You flat out cannot expect your camera to get this approval if it does not have raw. Flat out, it must do raw properly. Then metadata is also a very interesting thing, because Netflix is kind of very strict about their quality control, and they take this very seriously. Many people say it's like, a bit too serious, but reality is like many cameras are rejected flat out because they do not have proper time syncing, they do not have proper audio channel syncing. Like, there are many subtle things that you do not think about, but Netflix will be like, nope, flat out no. So when I'm talking about metadata, you have to double check this if you want to get approved for Netflix front end. So that's the reality of it, like from day one. And if you haven't watched this show, House of Cards, remove the actor. Think about the, instead of thinking of the actor, think of the character that is being played there. It's amazing. It's like, whoa, like the amount of effort, just amount remove the TV show, just watch the opening scene, how much effort that long exposure photography would have taken. Just think about that. So what are our options? Basically, most cinema camera which is from first party vendors and, like, very serious about things, most of them are, most red cameras are approved. Some large Blackmagic cameras are approved. Canon C300 Mark II, Canon 500 Mark II, Canon 500, Canon 700, Canon 700 full frame. Most of them are approved. Now, if you're talking about RE, again, RE Alexa LF, RE Alexa Mini LF, and RE Alexa 65. Now, again, 65 was used to shoot basically Endgame and Infinity War. To give you a context to that, this camera is so damn expensive, it does not have a price on it. It's like you have to call them and they're like, we'll see whether we can, give this to you for a limited time or not. So, serious thing. Now, only one mirrorless so far has legally properly, qualified for Netflix, that is Panasonic S1H. Now, does that make S1H the best camera out there? No, it makes it best versatile camera for video output. Now, you have to rely on autofocus. So for vlogging, if you're like, oh, I'm gonna do vlogging as Netflix, nope. So S1H does suffer from autofocus, and it does have some weird things that I was like genuinely surprised. Like, they should have used XQD cards, because XQD cards are very easily upgraded to with a firmware patch to CFast Express, and most camera companies are moving to CFast Express. That would have unlocked some more potential on that, but like which they did on their mirrorless system. It's just surprising they did not dual CFast slot, but okay. But again, it's a big badge of honor that S1H has that. Now, you have to understand this. All of these cameras, especially for mid-range camera kind of C300, C500, they have a lot of lower settings also. So the company is also defining that part. They're not like, okay, just take it and do whatever you want. This camera is low. No, you have to check that. Look, so they will have like very weird restrictions. It's like, you cannot do 60 frame per second because the 60 frame per second reduces the bitrate. So all those things also should be taken into consideration. Now, because Netflix is not a complete stupid, they know that there are certain times you cannot utilize these beasts of a camera. Let's say you want to do what you call point of shot. Basically, you will have camera right here. If you have to do something like that, you cannot utilize these camera. Or if you are doing underwater or you're doing high speed, so they will give you 10% of your runtime, which you can control with different camera. Like, these should be your primary camera, and that 10% you can do whatever you want. Like for high speed camera, you can buy a Phantom or other things like that. But again, even for those, they have to approve it. So you cannot just use DJI drone for your shot and all that. Even those have quality control, but you get the idea. Like, these are your backbone, and for 10% you have quote unquote free reign. Now, so what to do? Well, this is one of those simple things. If you have to ask, it's not for you. So if you are like thinking about, hey, which I should buy a camera for Netflix and then I'm gonna make Netflix show. Netflix is not YouTube. It's very serious. From day one they were very serious about it, and they are very thorough about it. Unless you are talking about some regional content and you have regional clout, I can understand that they might allow that but do not expect for a worldwide release they will be that lenient. So it's a very serious thing. Now, however, it is a very good kind of guide. That camera guide is for camera rental house. If your your job is just I'm gonna buy camera and I'm gonna rent it out, that is quite amazing that you can buy all the Netflix approved camera. That could be your shop's selling point. It's like, hey, take from us and we will get you Netflix approval. Not approval as in, but you get the point. So again, for those kind of people, it's also very important. But you have to understand this. Let's say you are starting out now and you have dreams. Like, let's say you want to dream and you're like, okay, I'm serious, which kind of equipment should I buy, which should give me some peace of mind for long term. You do not want to buy, okay, some small camera now, then some bit medium range camera, then some bit more. You're like, okay, I can afford to invest big once. So in those sort of scenario, buying a camera from those lists gives you a bit of peace of mind. So like, yeah, if let's say by some miracle something happens and I get elected for that, these camera will not let you down. So that's also a very good use of that. Now Netflix is much more harder on you than compared to Amazon. Amazon, especially in regional content, oh my god, it's like like my friend is working in Mumbai and he's like trying to deal with all the basically movie magic, so to say, and he flat out lost his cool, so to say, when we were watching the. I did not watch it, but he watched it. It's like, dude, I will hate it. It's like that's how I know how bad it is. Like, dude, you will hate it. It's like they have big cameras, they have expensive cameras. The way it was used, it was like, dude, did you not check the exposure setting? Did you not calibrate it? Did you not black balance it? Like you can say, like you can give someone a high end camera, but if they do not know how to utilize it properly, junk is gonna come out. So you have to understand the pipeline is very important for Netflix. Whenever you see Netflix behind the scene, they are thorough about things. They are like very serious, very thorough, and it paid off. Like Netflix shows, nobody ever says like oh, Netflix shows are like low budget, it's like an indie show or web show. Nobody ever says it's Netflix. So again, it does pay off for them. So this was my presentation on Netflix approved camera. I hope you liked it, learn from it. In that case, click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I'd urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment, and please leave a comment because I try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.